This week on Quality Digest Live, we chat with Gary Confalone of ECM Global Measurement Solutions and the Coordinate Metrology Society.
Plus, 2 views on the importance of mindfulness. That and more when we come back.
Welcome back to Quality Digest Live for May 18th, 2018. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest.
Yes, he is, and I'm Quality Digest publisher Mike Richmond. Well, we're coming up quickly on one of the most important days in the calendar for anyone who tests and measures stuff for a living. I'm talking, of course, about World Metrology Day, which occurs on May 20th each and every year. World Metrology Day celebrates the science of measurement, without which the technology of modern society would be all but impossible. The May 20th date corresponds to the Meter Convention of 1875 in Paris, which set in motion the beginning of standardization across the globe. We always take a moment on the show to chat about World Metrology Day because, well, first of all, it's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, we know that. It's cool.
Lasers.
Lasers. And secondly, our close partners at the Coordinate Metrology Society are the authorities when it comes to close tolerance, large volume, test measurement, and alignment. As many of you longtime viewers of Quality Digest Live know, we shine a spotlight on the Society in our monthly CMS Corner segment. On today's show, we're very pleased to bring you what's sure to be a fun and engaging CMS Corner. Our guest is the current chair of the Society, who is also the president and CEO of metrology and engineering service company, ECM Global Measurement Solutions. So, Gary Confalone, welcome to Quality Digest Live.
Glad to be here.
All right. Hey, so Gary, Mike gave us a quick overview of what World Metrology Day is, but maybe you can expand on that a little bit and tell us why just metrology in general is so important to our world today.
Well, Mike, this is a great question, Dirk and Mike. I was just thinking, previously, I think I'm going to send you guys back to do some research to find out if there's a meteorology day, because maybe we have something one up on them. But metrology, when we go to a lot of schools, and metrology is something that not many people have heard of. We've talked about this before, but it's all around us. You can't escape it. Whether you're taking the temperature, or your pulse, or your weight, or your height, it's all metrology. And that's one of the things we try to bring with us when we're doing educational outreach and tell the kids about everything that's built needs to be measured.
And it's interesting because we talk about the science of metrology, and we always talk about it as a science. There's an art to it too. When you go to the Coordinate Metrology Society and you walk the booths and you see the Coordinate Metrology Society conference, you talk to these people and you see that there really is an art to doing this work, right? I mean, Gary, these people are
they're highly skilled. So it's both knowledge and experience,
hands-on experience. Would you say that's true, Gary?
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. And it covers all facets of technology as well. There's metrology and chemistry and physics and manufacturing, you name it. Medicine. There's metrology touches everything, and that's why it's such a great career, because when you learn it, you can bring it across the border. You can bring it anywhere.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is a great career, and this is one thing that I know you're really, really passionate about. You and ECM are really passionate about, is bringing people into this career, young people. You do a lot with education. We talked to you at CMSC 2017 in Utah about some of the work that you and your company does with education. So what are some of the things that a company like yours or people in general can do to help support educational institutions and bring people into the industry?
Well, there's a lot you can do, Mike, and once you start, like we did several years back, it snowballs, and it seems to find us. We've connected with some folks way back when with NIST and NCSLI, where they had a ambassadors outreach program for doing education in schools. And from that, it spawned into, going to universities, doing, up in New Hampshire, there's a big push for girls in technology, which we've been a big part of. And, one of the things in today's economy is, like New Hampshire, for instance, one of those states that has no income tax. It's a big attraction, for businesses to open up there. And their unemployment is, I think it's less than 2.5% right now. And, their biggest problem is personal resources and getting people trained. So, we've put together some curriculums to help out schools, to give them, the technical schools, to give them, a little background in metrology, and we've pulled from these schools too. We've hired people. We've recently done some stuff with vocational schools, and they just had a Skills USA in Massachusetts, where vocational school kids were interviewing and learning how to get skills in getting a job. And one of my engineers sat with some kids all day and just told them the do's and don'ts of interviewing. But this stuff is readily available. There's teachers with the same passion that we have that will pull us in and help us promote this. Why we do it, maybe we're just crazy or something. We don't have enough to do, but
well, Gary, you mentioned girls. You mentioned girls in getting girls interested in engineering and science and metrology and stuff. What kind of response do you get when you kind of present this to a group of girls? I mean, I'm just kind of curious how this goes over.
Yeah, I mean, when you're just saying that, Dirk, I get like chills down my spine, because the kids aren't exposed to this stuff. And, we do have a home run every time we walk into a school with a laser. It's the big attractor. There's a lot of other careers there, but the lasers do get a lot of good. I think it was the last, or 2 years ago, we got the cover of Metrologist magazine, with the girls using an arm to scan a skeleton that we did up at University of New Hampshire. But there is a lot of interest, and there's interest from the adults as well. When we go in there with lasers, and all the teachers are gathered around watching what we're doing as well. But the kids generally aren't exposed to a lot of these things, and when whether it's a STEM event or an engineering event or just a careers fair, it's always great to show these kids this stuff. I have a daughter as well, and I've brought her along with me. And actually next year she'll be starting in a technical degree at Rensselaer. So, I'm proud of her, and she's followed the path. And it is a great career choice for women. You can get a job out of college, and you hear about this on the news all the time, but, kids just having a really difficult time finding a career after school. And this is a great industry to be in. The science and engineering is great. Kids are going to get jobs, and for women, I think in New Hampshire, I was listening to the governor was talking at the last event. She was saying there's 20%, of all the jobs in New Hampshire, there's most of them are science and engineering, and 20% of those are only women. And, I was talking to my wife about it, and I'm saying of those 20, I think 15% are in the medical field, like nursing. So there's really not, a good amount of girls going into this. And, we've recently, one of the girls that we had in one of our classes, if you look on YouTube, there's some videos of stuff we've done at Spalding High School, but she just graduated from MIT with an engineering degree. Wow. So, and I'm not saying it's because of us, but it was great. She was really into the lasers, and we brought a lot of toys in with this when we were doing, strobe lights and radar systems, infrared, and the kids really get into that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, that's great. Wow, his daughter at RPI, the other young lady at MIT. I mean, this is so bad. It's pretty good. These are smart kids, no doubt about it. Well, Gary, training and personnel certification are areas of focus for the Coordinated Metrology Society. They've been for many, many years. So maybe you can walk through a little bit about what attendees at CMSC 2018 are going to find in Reno this year in July in terms of some of these opportunities to show off their knowledge and test against their knowledge.
Yeah. Well, this has been a real busy year for us, Mike, for the certification committee. We've put together 3 more pilots. And that's happened, we've had meetings over the past several months, and put a lot of time into it. But so at this year's event, we're going to have 3 of the standard, I'm counting with my fingers, but we're going to have 3 of the tests that we offered in the past, which have already been vetted. The level 1 cognitive 3D metrology test, the level 2 laser tracker hands-on test, and the level 2 arm hands-on test. In addition to this, this past year we've put together 3 pilots. And as part of the attractor to bring the coordinate measurement machine people into our group, we've come up with a level 1 cognitive CMM pilot, a level 2 hands-on CMM pilot, which includes a lot of programming, and a level 2 scanning pilot. So these are things, you can find them on the website if you want to register, and I really encourage people to register for the pilots. There's a lot of opportunity, to become certified. If you pass, after we create the cut score and you pass, we're going to allow people to become certified. So, as long as they fulfill all the credentials and take the prerequisites.
Gary, in the couple of minutes we have left, this has been, you're coming up to the end of your term, your 1-year term as chair of the Coordinate Metrology Society. You began, of course, in July, and your term will end in July at this year's show. So what's it been like for you? What has it kind of taught you about leadership and working with different people? What are the takeaways that you've had from this experience?
Yeah, holy cow, Mike, that's so that's a big question. I mean, I've never experienced, the amount of work everybody's putting into this. It's amazing. And as far as leading, it sounds cliche, but every leader is as good as the people they're working with. And I work with the best people on this committee. Everybody's so passionate and works so hard. And I never, I knew everyone worked hard, but now I'm getting the emails from every single thing everybody's doing, and it's incredible the amount of work, including you guys. You guys do a lot too, and even just putting something like this together is a lot of work. But it's been a great year. There's so much work to do. There's so much so much stuff that we have good visions for. It's been super exciting, and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, Gary Confalone of the Coordinate Metrology Society and ECM, thanks for joining us today on CMS Corner. Folks can visit online at cmsc.org if they want to learn more about the organization. And the show, of course, is, I believe it's July 23rd through 27th in Reno this year, if people want to show up at the event.
Yep. Should be a lot of good things. And, we're adding a lot of new things other than the certification. We have, some vendor presentations, like spotlight on new technology in the education zone, and some really good workshops, including one on STEM, where we're going to try to recruit some people around the country to help, maybe next year, this World Metrology Week, we'll be talking about events that we've done everywhere in the country. So that's the hope, guys. And I got a lot of good feelings about it, so I'm pretty excited.
We are too. Well, thanks, Gary, for joining us today. We're going to see you in Reno in July, so thanks again, and we'll see you then.
Okay, looking forward to it, guys. See you soon.
See you, Gary.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Cool. Great show. If you've never been to the Coordinate Metrology, the
Coordinate
CMSC
Metrology Society Conference, CMSC, yeah.
Go. I mean, if you work with large volume 3D measurement, or you're interested in it, that is the only show in the United States that is focused strictly on that. So it's a great place to gather information and
it's an intimate setting. I mean, it's not like an IMTS where you're going to be blown away by this huge hall. You can talk to people. You can really get into problem solving. That's the great thing, is if you have an issue with close tolerance, large volume measurement, and alignment, get to that show.
Get to that show.
You will find somebody in that hall who knows, probably a few people, who know the answer to your question.
And not just vendors. I mean, the speakers are all like experts in this stuff.
Academia, a really good job.
All right. Well, Mike, as much as I love living in artsy, fartsy, new agey, hippy dippy Northern California, which is literally the land of fruits and nuts.
Yes,
really, Chico? Fruits and nuts.
That's true. My allergies will tell you.
As much as I love living here, there are just certain terminology, certain words that come out that just, they bug the heck out of me. And one of those words, literally, I'm sorry, it's mindfulness.
I'm sorry.
Mindfulness. It's just like, I just picture some girl with long hair sitting
So do
on
I.
a yoga
Exactly.
mat.
So do I, yes.
Hi, my name is Zoe.
Yes.
Today we're doing mindfulness.
Well, you know, Dirk, that's because you practice mindlessness
Well, yes,
a lot, which is kind of the antithesis of that.
Well,
But
that is true. And of course, this week we had 2 stories on mindfulness.
Yes.
One of them was yours, and the other one was knowledge
I had
at
no
Wharton.
idea that you didn't like mindfulness.
Wharton, no, it was a great story. But Wharton is like a business school.
Yep.
You know, it's like we're going to talk about mindfulness in business today.
Yeah.
So what the heck is it and why should I care? Well, actually, joking aside, we actually should care about it. Mike, you wrote in your piece that focusing on what matters, that one of the problems in today's workplaces, we're just surrounded by input. I mean, it could be input from people walking to our office needing attention, so colleagues or coworkers or salespeople. You're getting emails by the thousands or the hundreds at least.
Yeah.
For us, we're in a news thing. We're in a news, publishing. So we're constantly on the internet. We're constantly researching news, and we're being bombarded by news from every which direction. And it's tough. I mean, it makes it hard at the end of the day to kind of, make meaning and find value in our daily routine. And then we go home and it's just a different set of inputs. I mean, we're just constantly being bombarded. And we need some way to deal with it. And not just organizational skills, although organizational skills are important, and we'll tie those in here in a bit, but we need emotional and psychological skills. I mean, we need some way to de-stressify our life at work. And so mindfulness is kind of a way to do that. And I wish there was a less namby-pamby word or phrase, but that's what it is. So, but it's simply just a way to confront all of this stress. And it's useful, and there's nothing mysterious about it. It's been around in different words for a long time. I mean, basically it's relaxation techniques. It's ways to focus on what you're doing without being stressed or distracted by other stuff aside from what's right in front of you in the here and now. And there's a lot of techniques for doing this, and you can Google them and come up with a ton of ideas, but I'll just talk about it in general terms. Knowledge at Wharton, in the article How Companies Can Instill Mindfulness, describes mindfulness as a centuries-old idea that has been reinvented to address the challenges of our digital age, meaning all this input. And so in essence, it describes how to address the here and now, the immediate, the stuff that's right in front of you right at this moment, and leave behind the tendency to judge. It helps you to pause kind of amid all this constant input. And this is the important bit, consciously decide how to act rather than react. And if you think about it, as human beings, we are conditioned to react, because reaction is really a shortcut. Reaction is, as humans, we don't have time from the beginning of time. We haven't had time to sit in, oh, there's this new person I don't recognize in front of me. How should I react to this? You don't have time to, because in the amount of time you're thinking about it, you could be killed, right? And so we grow up throughout history learning to react to situations, learning to judge things in an instant. Friend or foe, flight or fright. How do we deal with things quickly? And that carries over really into our everyday life, into our work life, into our family life. Is something comes in front of us, we got to respond to it right away. We learn just that we always got to react. I see a headline, I like the headline, I don't like the headline. I see this person, I like this person, I don't like this person. I get this email, I'm going to respond to it, I'm not going to respond to it. And we're just constantly doing this all day long. And it's stressful. It's stressful. And part of the reason it's stressful is that we feel like we have to react to everything. Back when life had fewer inputs, reacting may have been not a bad way to go because it was a shortcut. But today, we allow ourselves to be so overwhelmed by reactions, and this reaction is stressful. So instead, take a breath. this is really kind of what mindfulness is about. There's a lot of techniques, but when you get down to it, it's about slowing down. It's about kind of tuning out what's around you and kind of focusing on what's in front of you. And breathing is has a lot to do with it. I mean, we joke about, we've always heard of this, good air in, bad air out, or, count to 10, take a breath. All of that is actually really based on studies that have done on, both psychological studies and physiological studies, that when you stop and take some deep breaths, it really helps to calm you down and focus you. You just chill for a bit. You count to 10 if you're dealing with a colleague that says something that you don't like.
Right.
Relaxing this way actually has a psychological effect that reduces the inclination to interpret everything around you as a threat and to react to it. It causes you just to go, wait a minute, I'm going to back off a little bit. Here's how I do it, and I don't do it perfectly, but I try to do it. Whenever I'm faced with a task, or maybe somebody's opinion or a headline or whatever that stresses me out, that causes me to instantly react either positively or negatively, I take some deep breaths and I say, okay, if I'm dealing with a person, let's look at it your way. I'm not just going to react to what you just said, even though I totally disagree with you right now. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to go, okay, let's think about this. Not react. Maybe you have a point. I'm not going to judge it right now. I'm going to look at it. I may judge it later, but right now, I'm not going to judge it. It's an input, and it's something that I need to deal with right now. You've just come to me with a situation. You just come to me and say, Dirk, we need to do this right now. This is important. Rather than just snap judgment and say, yes, it is, and no, it isn't, I go, okay, right now, this is in front of me. Don't judge it. Take in the data. Why is it important? Let's talk about it. Why do you think this is important? Think about it. Deal with it dispassionately, and then process all that data and maybe do something with it. You going to say something?
You do a great job at that, is what I was going to say. When I call you and I know you're in the middle of things,
you hear me take a deep breath?
Well, no, I do. I mean,
Okay,
you do. You're actually really, really good at it. You're really good at if I say, hey, I've got a problem that is a pernicious issue that I need to deal with right now, you're very good. I can almost hear you take that breath, and you're able to focus on it. You do a really good job of that. Yeah, you do a good job. Mike, shut up. Yeah,
Mike, shut up.
Meanwhile, you're saying, hate it.
Well, I mean, so aside from interpersonal stuff, or just relational stuff, or issues that come up when you're dealing with a person or that person's situation, you can also apply this to a big task, because a lot of us forget that a big task, even if it's well organized, and it has to be organized, you got to have organization, and it helps to have a process and so forth. But a process or a set of steps is that. It is just a set of steps. And sometimes we look at the entire project, we're going, oh my gosh, this is going to take me weeks, and yeah, I know this process, but and we get overwhelmed by the whole thing instead of just taking a breath and going, okay, what's the first step? This is what I have to do right now. Not tomorrow, not an hour from now, but right now, this is what I've got to focus on. So you tune out everything else, and you say, okay, I'm going to work on this step. And then when I'm done with that step, okay, I can move on to the next step. And if somebody comes in and interrupts you, okay, you got to deal with that in the moment. How do you deal with it? Well, is it more important? If it's more important, I take this project and I forget about it. It's like, okay, it goes aside. I'm not going to let it stress out in the back of my head that I got to come back to it. I'm going to deal with that issue in front of me right now. And when I'm done with it, then I'll come back and I'll pick up from where I left off. And doing that is really hard, because we constantly want to get kind of caught up in everything that's going on with us and what's coming down the line, and you can't do anything about what's going to happen an hour from now or a day from now. You got to deal with what is in the here and now.
Right.
And that takes really just stopping and taking a breath and thinking about it and going, okay, this is my focus.
That's a great job, Dirk. I mean, I think you summarized it beautifully, including the piece that I wrote. When I was writing that, what I was thinking about was the first time I was introduced to this idea was, I'm sure you remember this book, Be Here Now, by Ram Dass. And that's really the focus of mindfulness, is this idea that now is all that reality is.
Right, so you can deal with it, yeah.
There really is no future. I mean, and I wrote in my piece that you need to plan. That part of this is you do need to plan. There is a future, but within the moment, you only can really do what you're doing. And the ability to focus on being here now allows you to let go of that. I mean, for me, I know that future focus is always what gets me stressed.
Yeah, you think, oh, I got all this stuff.
This is going to happen. This is
yeah.
going to happen. Well, it might happen. It might not happen. I mean, if you're a fan of theoretical physics, you'd say that there's a multiverse.
Right.
And the multiverse is launched every, I can't even use a time frame because it's an infinitesimal amount of time, but constantly multiverses are springing out of this moment of reality. And the next moment of reality may or may not be anything, who knows? Yeah. But you don't have that now. All you have now is what you have now.
Right.
It's really kind of theoretical, but for me it helps to slow me down and think about that and say, okay, I have this right now. I'm doing this right now. What I'm going to be doing, but let me do this now.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
And then when I'm done with that, you repeat the process for the next step.
Yeah.
or whatever's next on the list.
Like I say, you're good at it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm that good at it. I'm getting better. You feel like you're good at it in dealing with your colleagues. So that's you're really good.
Yeah.
To help with that. So good job, Dirk. Thank you for summarizing my piece. Okay, we got a couple minutes.
Welcome to Northern California.
Welcome to Northern California. Fruits and nuts. All right. Well, Dirk, here, I got an off script, which may be a little lengthy, but we can kind of get into it. All right. So, you can call it decorum. You can call it politeness, civility, you can call it whatever you want. But, obviously we've seen it fall away in the political realm, in sports, even in quality. Some of the comments we get are a little snippy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it. I think that for me, a lot of it is this idea that people can kind of hide behind their keyboards and say things without ever having to deal with anybody in real life. They fire off their Nastrograms and do whatever they want. But my question to you is, what do you think that's doing kind of to discourse in the world of business, for instance, especially in a world where so much, and here at Quality Digest we're doing it too, we're transitioning into more of a remote workspace, so much of a remote environment. What do you think that lack of context, that lack of understanding, maybe even basic civility, and maybe just misunderstanding of the way that texts and IMs and things come across to people. How do you manage that in a world that increasingly is getting more uncivil?
Well, I think you nailed it, and I'll refer to a little story I heard just a while ago, but. You're right, people hide behind their keyboard, and because of that, it's too easy to say things that you wouldn't normally say. I mean, and the people who say these things, and we get this stuff sometimes too, real snarky stuff, but that if you were talking to this person in person, they would never talk like that. I mean, people just in general don't, but when they're hidden, and so what is it doing to business discourse? I suspect it's having a toll in business discourse as well, although I will say that aside from comments on, let's say, the website or let's say emails to editorial that we get, that when we're dealing with business people, advertisers and whatnot, that we rarely, if ever, see anything like that. So I think business people are cognizant of the fact, because business writing has always been around. And so I think it's already ingrained within business people that when you write something, it has to be business-like. So, and I think that has carried over to a certain extent, or to a great extent actually, into emails and even texting, where business people are just already attuned to the fact that writing is just as important as speaking. So it may be having some effect. I'm not sure it's having as much of effect as we are seeing it in other areas.
Well, I almost would push back on you a little bit because of that, or because of the story you just covered. This idea that we are all so busy. We're all processing so many emails, and I'm guilty of writing some long emails to clients sometimes. And you get very short, almost snippy responses sometimes. But
terse,
it's because terse. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And again, it's easily misinterpreted. It's not, oh my God, I hate you, or why are you writing this long email? It's like, I don't have time to get into it with you. This is great. Fine, send me the whatever.
Which can come across as being like snippy. Right.
A lot of this is just the context of the way that the interactions happen through the electrons of a computer.
Which is why I think that even as business does get even more and more email oriented, or sometimes even text oriented, or sometimes even instant message oriented,
Sure.
that it's important to make physical contact either in person or over the phone with the people that you're dealing with. I mean, it doesn't have to be all the time. It's just a reinforcement that when you talk to them, you go, oh, no, yeah, Mike is a nice guy, or Joe is a nice guy, or boy, sometimes those emails seem really snippy, but no, when I talk to him on the phone, no, he seems he's cool. It's just, I mean, if you don't do that, then I think that impression can build up over time, if people aren't careful, that so-and-so is a jerk. Whereas if you just once a month even, it doesn't have to be all that often.
Yeah.
Just once a month, make that personal contact.
Video conferencing.
Or
is really
video
good too. It's
conferencing,
really
or
excellent,
even
yeah.
just the phone, just voice. Voices can sound friendly.
Yeah, they can.
And you make that connection, and you kind of you take that stress out of it. You go, no, okay, he does like me.
You
or
like
whatever.
me, you really
he
like
likes
me.
and then I just think it's important to do that. I think relying strictly on text, I think particularly as they get more and more terse, which is what's happening in today's technology, is these missives get less missive and more
dismissive.
More dismissive. Very good. And I think it's just more and more important now that you make that
I just thought of that.
physical contact.
Dismissive. D-I-S-S.
Dismissive.
Missive.
Yeah.
I just coined that.
You're
It's
brilliant.
The dismissive.
You should be a writer.
Yeah. All right. Real good. All
That's
right.
what I think.
Thanks, Rick. I agree with you. I think that sometimes we do these off scripts, and I know that we're going to agree, but it's like, well, I'm not going to come up with something just to say it. All right. Thanks, Rick. Good job. All right. Well, thanks also to Gary Confalone of ECM Global Measurement Solutions and the Coordinate Metrology Society for joining us earlier on the show. And happy World Metrology Day to all you out there on Sunday, coming up on May 20th, this Sunday. And also, a quick reminder, we have a webinar coming up for you next week. It's titled Effective Supplier Integration for FDA and ISO-Compliant Quality Systems. The webinar is presented by Tom Middleton of Sparta Systems and hosted by Mr. Dirk DeSharm right here of Quality Digest. It'll get started at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific this coming Tuesday, May 22nd. So keep an eye on your email inbox for information on how you can register if you haven't done so already.
All right, and that is it for today's show. Thank you all for joining us, and remember, mindfulness.
Be mindful and have a good World Metrology Day.
So long.
See ya. Bye.